Anyone out there who has played Sekiro before knows that there's one major flaw to the combat mechanic, which once you know it, you can cheese your way to victory in most of the enemy encounters. And that is, spam the block and parry button like no tomorrow and you'll be just fine. But does that tactic work in the demo version of Onimusha Way of the Sword? Well, I tried, and this is what happened.
I got this!
No. Fully reverse, him! So slow!
And with normal NPCs, it's easier to see how the blocking system is different to Sekiro's. For instance, if the enemy uses a two-handed strong attack, and you just do a basic block, Musashi will have to take a knee. It's trying to be more realistic, and it works. This of course depletes your stamina, and if your stamina gets dangerously low, Musashi lets you know about it.
I can't see straight.
And at this point you have no defenses, so you are open to hits, no matter what you do. Now the game says stamina gauge and then says break Issen after the gauge depletes, and then you can one hit the enemy. But there is a hidden mechanic in this game and a core one in the Onimusha franchise. I don't know why Capcom haven't explained it in this demo, but it's an Issen one-shot attack. But more on that a little later, but it's very strange that they haven't mentioned it. The blocking is not the only thing that's different in this game. The parrying system has a multi-layer to it. Just a quick specs breakdown, everything maxed out 1440p. Okay, let's get back into it. Not only does the deflecting and parrying system feel like there's a perfect heft to it, it feels very free-flowing and slick to execute. There's a brilliant, crisp, burning, spark, grinding sound that adds to the visual of your timed counter. Even the sound of Musashi's sword when it's being sheathed has a beautiful clack to it.
Very nice.
It shows real attention to detail in the sound design. Back to parrying. This is where I believe the core of Onimusha's gameplay lives and wants you to thrive here. Because at the end of the day, you are literally Miyamoto Musashi, greatest duelist weapon wielding martial artist in Japan's history. You know, the author of the Book of Fire Rings. Anyway, the parrying is multi-leveled. It's not just one way to parry or deflect. Here's what I mean. You can parry weapon-based attacks, and if done on time, you can open up a window of vulnerability. This fills your blaze gauge. You do more damage when this effect is activated. What is nice is that the parry success animation and outcome can vary on an enemy and creature type. So for example, a humanoid is simple enough with like a Muay Thai sort of leg sweep, and then you can follow up with an attack. But then there's these Beyblade sort of dinosaur things that when they're spinning at you, you can deflect them and then get stuck into a wall, and you can follow up with a finish, and it feels really smooth and seamless. Then there's a reflex dodge. Of course it's not a parry, but it's a dodge mechanic, and it lines you up for another shot. So if you time the dodge correctly, you'll see a shadow of where you once were, but you'll end up actually sidestepping the enemy and you have a follow-up attack ready.
That's it.
Then there's a deflect mechanic where if you press with the control set that I had, if you press the parry and the A button together, your deflection is more solid and more stern, and this one depletes the enemy's stamina significantly. And a side note, you can use this specific technique, the deflect, to counter or send back projectiles coming at you. The next one is self-explanatory. When the enemy's hand glows blue or white, it's signaling that they're going to grab you. You can press circle or the red button to counter them. Simple as.
No challenge.
Now this is the last of the explained mechanics that Capcom tell you about in the game, and that is the blade barrage. It's a fun mechanic where if you and an enemy use an attack that's either one-handed or two-handed at the same time, you initiate a constant stalemate sword fight. And the way to win this is to use the attack that wasn't used to initiate the barrage. And when it happens, it looks outstanding.
Is that your best?
And it makes me want to play the game more and more to encounter these random barrage duels. It's really fun to experience. Now here is that hidden mechanic, that Issen attack. You strike just as you're about to be hit, and the timing window is a lot smaller than the parries window. And it's a mechanic that has been in Onimusha since Onimusha 2. It's a high risk, high reward mechanic where you can even double or triple up on enemy kills, and on boss fights you do significantly more damage than any other strike in the game. So mechanically, you are given an array of ways to deal with each combat situation in your own unique style whilst simultaneously creating visually stunning looking fight scenes. However, with all these skills in tow, Sekiro beats this game on engagement. You see, Onimusha, with all its advances in swordplay, has a problem with enemy NPC AI behavior and as a result, the difficulty. You see, the regular enemies in this game are far too passive and generous in combat engagements. Regardless if it's one-on-one or a group of them against you, they wait too long and stand around passively when fighting you. You know, there's me expecting full-on melee and brawl when I'm in these situations. But there was none of that, and they are very easy to get rid of to the point where you can ditch all the mechanics the game incentivizes you to use and straight up hack and slash your way throughout the whole level and reach the final boss with no trouble. Only here will you get somewhat cooked and skill checked where you need to know the swordplay mechanics to win the duel. On the other hand, Sekiro had you in trouble with simple enemies, and each new weapon unlock and skill learnt felt like a tool you needed to up your survival rate and chances of defeating an enemy or boss or clearing a level. You know, sure, the parry cheese was there, but it wasn't enough of a tactic to overcome more difficult enemies or boss fights. The game required you to concentrate and implement the combat mechanics to progress further, and if you didn't, you would simply be punished over and over again. But for most people, and at times for me, Sekiro is very difficult. And I don't want that for this game, but I expected something on the middle ground, not too easy and not too hard. I thought this was going to be it, where it's enjoyable but tactical and engaging, difficult at times and smooth enough where you get good and skill up and have some sort of fun and realism with repercussions. This isn't it right now, and I want Onimusha to have a rock solid, respectable place for itself in the genre of sword fighting games, blending the good and bad from games like Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro and making something that is ultimately can be perfect. But right now, again, it's not. It's a real shame that Onimusha has gone the easy direction, and I don't know why Capcom have dumbed down the game this far to this extent. The boss fights feel great and balanced. The rest that leads up to it, no. So I hope they fix this and in the full game make the NPCs more aggressive, because Musashi is geared up for it and the mechanics are primed to deal with groups of enemies, complex enemies, X, Y, and Z. But personally, in my opinion, I'm not getting my hopes up for changes like that, because Capcom are on a tear this year with game releases, and it seems like they are prioritizing quantity and revenue over the quality of their games as of late. And the release date is very close. It feels like the studios are almost babying you and kind of pampering you up to make you feel like you're doing well and you're a really good gamer, when in actual fact the whole experience is dumbed down. Then I saw a video by Neon Were saying that Onimusha games can be played like this. Have a listen.
Onimusha is a series with reactive combat. While you can get through the game mashing buttons if you want, it encourages patience and precision. A single button press deals a fatal blow, like a showdown in an old samurai movie.
And I think after this, it put things in perspective. It made me realize, well, this isn't Sekiro, this isn't Ghost of Tsushima, this is Onimusha, a game that has established its own style decades before Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro were in their daddy's balls. Sekiro is faster and more arcadey. Onimusha, and this one especially, is slower but is looking for a more realistic sword fighting experience. I think Ghost of Tsushima is somewhere in the middle of these two, I think. Could be wrong, but either way, these are all different games. Yes, they're in the same genre, sword fighting, but they are all their own entities. Which one is better is down to personal preference, I think. But again, knowing all of this, so far the easiest one from the demo. I mean, it's unfair to be talking like this about a game demo. First impressions from a demo, it's the easiest of the bunch. So let's wrap this up. This game is very important to me because my favourite actor of all time is Toshiro Mifune, and one of my favourite martial artists is Miyamoto Musashi. I had hoped this game embodied and lived up to those two titans of Japan, and Capcom would have prepared a world beater of a game. And don't get me wrong, the game is fun and has glossy looking battles with performance of the game running like a dream. So right now I'm not sure if I want to buy this game on release day. It was my second most anticipated game of the year, but I don't know if it's going to be worth it on release day the way it is right now. Yes, it's just a demo, and I hope the full game lives up to the hype of the trailers, because that trailer was something else.
Musashi, if that's the path he walks, I will follow. I've chosen to trust Musashi's judgment in all matters.
Ori departed.
But until then, I have a follow-up video planned for next week where I go and cover the differences in the Japanese and English voiceovers.
You listen here.
I addressed the big elephant in the room, which is that hazy grey fog filter in the engine that has plagued the Resident Evil games as well, and potential fixes for PC players, and other quality of life performance tidbits that I wanted to go over in this video, but it would have detracted from the point of this video. So like, share and subscribe to catch that when it drops, and I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.